Today's story is about a British officer who was sent to a wild area in exchange for getting a government job to learn the local language. When he arrives there, he becomes very troubled by the strange traditions and rules of that place. But as time passes, he falls in love with a beautiful girl there who teaches him the local language along with many other things. Time passes, and after 1 year, he finds out that he has become a father. But that wild tribe's people did not approve of their relationship at all. Now, will he be able to save his love and child from those wild people or not? We will see in today's entire story. So hello friends, my name is Ishita, and the story begins by showing the time of the year 1936, where during that time, there was a strange rule in England. If someone wanted a government job, they had to learn a different language. And for this, people were sent to such places where they could learn it by living among that language's speakers. In this connection, our story's main character, John, goes to a remote area called Sarawak, located in Malaysia. It is a somewhat wild area, but it was from there that his life was about to change. To receive John, a local man named Belansay comes, who knew a little English along with the local language. He takes John to the district officer, Henry, here, who handles everything on behalf of the British government. Henry asks John, "You had many options, so why did you choose this place?" John replies that because my father also worked here before, and I want to become like him. But now he is no longer in this world, and my mom also passed away 2 years ago. Then Henry takes John to his house and says, "Tomorrow you will go among the villagers because here, from the people, you have to learn their language, and there are some traditional rules that you will have to follow." After this, the next day, Belansay takes him by boat to the villagers. There, a small welcome ceremony takes place, where John meets their chief, who is Belansay's father. Then, as hospitality, he is offered a local drink. At first, he refuses, but then Belansay explains that refusing this drink is considered an insult. John drinks it out of compulsion. After which their cultural program begins, in which a girl named Salima comes forward and dances. She is very beautiful, and John just keeps watching her. Then John is asked to do something too, so at their request, John recites an English poem, but no one understands it, and everyone gets bored. Seeing this, John, along with Belansay, starts dancing in the English style, and everyone starts laughing loudly while watching their dance. After all this ends, Salima, in front of everyone, lovingly puts a garland around John's neck. John finds this a bit strange, but he says nothing. After this, it becomes their sleeping time, so everyone starts to leave. But just then, due to the drink, John starts vomiting and begins to feel intoxicated. Just then, he sees that some people are going, carrying a severed head in their hands, and this thing seems very strange to him. Then the next morning, he tells Henry, "What have I come here to do? I don't understand anything." Henry explains, "They have permission to kill Chinese infiltrators, and most of their things will not make sense to you. Therefore, just focus on the work for which you have come." Just then, Salima comes and meets them. So Henry tells John, "From now on, this girl will live with you and help you learn this place's language. She will be with you like a wife with whom you can also be intimate." John is completely shocked at what kind of talk this is. Henry says that here there is a culture called the sleeping dictionary. Salima can also speak English, and her mother was also a sleeping dictionary, and she herself has agreed to live with John. John says, "Okay, but I will not get close to her." Hearing this, Henry talks a bit angrily that this is the culture here, and Salima herself is ready for it, so what problem do you have? You will have to live with her. After this, during nighttime, we see John and Salima in an old house, where a chef is also with them, who cooks food for both. Just then, Salima tells John to come closer to her, but John explains to her that in my country, nothing like this happens, and all this is wrong according to me. Salima looks at him for a while and says, "Okay," and goes to sleep. Then the next day, Belansay gives John a bag and says, "Last night there was a fight, so I have brought some Chinese heads." But everyone starts laughing because he was making fun of John, and in that bag was actually an animal's head, which he had not understood. Now, upon coming home, John finds out that his chef has brought a boy for him because John doesn't get close to Salima. So the chef thought that maybe he likes boys. But John starts shouting angrily that all of you are mad, and he also flares up at Salima that I don't want anyone here. Hearing this, Salima also gets angry. Then the next morning, she is about to leave. But the chef explains to John to stop her, saying that if she leaves, everyone will make fun of her. So John stops Salima and says, "You are very beautiful. But my belief considers this thing a sin. We can live as friends without all this too." But Salima had started liking John in her heart. And without giving any answer to this, she goes inside. After this, we see a nighttime scene, where Salima once again tries to get close to John, and while talking, both come very close to each other. But John says goodnight and goes to sleep. Both sleep in the same house on separate beds. Just then, Salima says, "I am ready for this, yet you don't come to me. If you get married, you won't know anything about this." John says laughingly, "No problem, I will take classes for this." Then he asks, "Why did you choose me?" Salima softly says, "Because you are very shy and completely different from everyone else." Then the next day, a funny thing happens. John tells Belancey, "I heard that you can hold your breath underwater for a long time." Belancey says, "Yes, I am the champion of this, and you cannot beat me." John says, "Then let's have a competition." After this, both enter the water, and the villagers also gather to watch who comes out first. But after a while, Belancey comes out, and his breath starts getting heavy. But John is still inside and comes out after quite a while. Everyone is surprised because he had won. Belancey asks, "How did you do this?" Then John shows him an oxygen cylinder, that with this, one can breathe even underwater. The villagers did not know about such things, so everyone is impressed by him. And in Salima's heart, even more respect grows for John. Then that same night, we see that Salima starts teaching John the local language names for body parts, and using this excuse while touching, a strange feeling awakens in both their hearts. The emotions that John had suppressed in his heart for so many days start coming out today. Then slowly, romantically, both start kissing each other. John had come here to learn the language, but Salima teaches him many other things along with the language. She is very happy because she knows that John is a very good and kind-hearted boy. Now, in this way, days start passing, and now both live exactly like husband and wife. Then one night, Salima gets up to leave, so John says, "Why do you always leave like this?" Salima says that there is a rule here. If a boy and girl wake up in the same bed for 5 nights, then their engagement happens. But you don't want to do this. Saying this, she leaves. Now one day, Henry invites John to dinner at his house, where his daughter, Cecile, had returned from England after studying. At dinner, everyone was together, and during conversation, Cecile says, "Earlier here, there was a strange custom, in which girls were given to officers to teach them the language. But in this, feelings for each other could also develop." Henry says, "You probably don't know, but that custom still exists. But this thing should be seen as a job, and if one wants, they can control their feelings." But John says, "Some feelings cannot be controlled, like what I have for Salima." Henry does not like this statement at all, and he says, "You can get into trouble for this." After this, John returns, where Salima comes forward wearing a very beautiful dress, and both start kissing. Now, in John's heart, for Salima, there was not just attraction, but also love. But he had no idea how much difficulty this love was going to bring. The next day, John and Cecile go out to search the area because Cecile was new there and wanted to know a lot for research purposes. Both talk a lot and also see many exploits of the villagers. Then Cecile clicks photos of the people there, including Salima. But Salima does not like this at all, and to stop her, she tells John. But John cannot say anything to Cecile. Just then, at the riverbank, some people arrive by boat in a half-dead condition and die right in front of them. Their deaths seemed to be due to some poison, and they were coming from the southern area. John says, "I will definitely find out how all this happened," and he plans to go there the next day with Belancey and Salima. Meanwhile, Henry's wife, Aggie, comes to John and says, "My daughter is very educated, and you are also educated, so why don't you both get married?" John remains silent without giving any answer, so Aggie says, "Think about this quickly, otherwise time will run out." After this, the next day, according to plan, everyone reaches a settlement by boat, where they had to find out the cause of those people's deaths. In that settlement, there weren't many people, but they were dying, one by one. Seeing them felt very strange, and when they start investigating about this, someone starts firing at them, but they escape. Then Belancey and John, chasing that attacker, reach a place and see. Some outsiders are forcing these settlement people to extract silver, but before taking any action, as soon as both return to the settlement, they see that Salima has also fallen sick. John remembers that Salima had eaten rice the last time. Just then, some people come and surround them. So Salima explains to them in the wild language that, "We have come to help you people." John tells them that the rice you are eating contains slow poison, because of which people are slowly dying. Those people tell them that this rice was given to us by outsiders, which means that those people want to kill these settlement people so that no one can stop them from doing illegal work here. Without delay, John gives the order to eliminate those people. Then the settlement people, along with Balance, go and kill all those outsiders with arrows. Meanwhile, John starts telling Salima all his heart's feelings, which makes Salima very happy. But she also knew that this relationship would never get approval. John says, "Don't worry, I will handle everything." Then the next morning, John comes to meet Henry and tells him that he loves Salima and wants to marry her. Henry flares up, saying that this is against the culture here. This has never happened before. Those people will kill you. Just then, Aggie arrives there and hears their conversation. And she also explains to John that for you, Salima is just a sleeping dictionary. Now forget her and move on. Henry says, "You will return to England and there you will marry my daughter. Then next year, if you want, you can come back. There will be no problem. Otherwise, I will be forced to have you arrested." Meanwhile, Salima is also told by the chief that this is against our tradition. "You will marry my son, Balance, and he is a very good boy." But she does not agree, so she is imprisoned. Meanwhile, John also does not agree with anything and immediately comes to meet Salima. Salima very sadly says, "I had said no one will accept our relationship, so please, you go away. I will spend my life living here." But John tries to get her out. Meanwhile, all the people arrive there, and Henry tells John, "I am your senior, and apart from following my orders, you have no other way." After this, John is forced to follow the order. Then the story shifts to show a scene 1 year later, where in England, John and Cecile get married. Cecile knew about Salima and John, but she doesn't mind this. But in John's heart, memories of Salima still remained. Still, he spends time with Cecile and doesn't let her feel anything about this. Then, after a few months, John returns to Sarawak again. Cecile is also with him and everyone welcomes them. At night, everyone watches a movie, but John's eyes are still searching for Salima. Then, after coming to the room, Cecile tries to get close to him. But then she herself stops and starts talking about Salima. She says, "I have found out that now Salima is married and also has a son. She is very happy in her life, and you should also forget her and move on." Then the next day, John goes to that old house. But now an officer named Neville lives there with his sleeping dictionary. But he had beaten his sleeping dictionary very badly, seeing which, John angrily warns him that if you do this again, no one will be worse than me. "I am your senior, so I know these people. If they get angry, they will finish you off in your sleep." Then the next day, John sees Salima at the riverside. With her was also her son, whose complexion was fair. But Balance's complexion is dark, and this child cannot be his. This means that he is John's son. After this, as soon as night falls, John goes to meet Salima secretly and talks about meeting his son. Salima gets scared that if someone sees us together, they will kill us. But John doesn't listen, and after meeting his son, becomes very happy. Then the next day, too, he goes to meet and spend some time with his son. But this matter gets known to Balance, and he, in anger, comes to attack John at night. John manages to escape, but this matter now becomes very serious. Henry gets angry at John and says, "Now Balance will have to be killed, and you will have to stop meeting Salima." John asks, "If Salima were your daughter, then would you still do the same?" Hearing this, Henry becomes emotional and tells John his biggest secret, that Salima is actually his own daughter. He also had a sleeping dictionary from whom Salima was born. But because of his wife, he could never accept her, and forgetting the past, spent his whole life performing his duty. Now the next day, Balance is captured and presented before everyone. And Balance also admits that he had gone to kill John. Then the decision is taken that Balance will be hanged. But John does not want this. But Balance has confessed his crime himself. Therefore, he is forced to announce that tomorrow morning, Balance will be hanged. Now, until morning, Balance is kept imprisoned, and the hanging place is being prepared. But at night, John quietly frees Balance and tells him to flee from here. Meanwhile, Salima also arrives there, and after Balance leaves, John tells her, I still love you as much as before. I always want to stay with you and our son. Therefore, tomorrow, we both will run away somewhere far from here. Salima also agrees and says, I will wait for you. But the next day, Cecile tells him that she is pregnant. Hearing which, John becomes confused about what he should do now. Meanwhile, Aggie, along with Neville, talks to Salima that you will now have to become Neville's sleeping dictionary because his previous one is not obeying him, after which Salima is forced to go with Neville. Now night falls, and Neville slowly starts forcing himself on Salima. But Salima, along with the chef, seizes the opportunity and knocks Neville unconscious after killing him, and with the chef's help, escapes from there. Meanwhile, John is still in confusion about what to do. Then he writes a letter to Salima saying, I cannot come to you now. Just then, Cecile comes and reads that letter and understands everything. But she does not get angry and says, I know you still love Salima. You living life under compulsion is something I cannot bear to see. Therefore, I will not stop you. Go to her and don't worry about me. I will not tell anyone here. Hearing her words, John feels very bad about how he can leave her in this condition. Cecile says, I cannot see you dying slowly like this, so go to her. After which, John says goodbye to Cecile and sets out. Meanwhile, we see Salima, who, while running, reaches the boat. But there, John is not found, which makes her very sad. Now morning is about to arrive, and John, running, arrives and sees that the boat has left. Just then, John's chef tells him that Salima did not go by boat. She, waiting for you, has gone toward that settlement, and she will meet you there. Meanwhile, Salima is about to leave with her son by river. Just then, Henry arrives there, and he knew where and why Salima was running. But instead of saying anything, he gives her his gun for her safety. Salima had found Henry's diary, and she had also found out that Henry is her father. Then he hugs his daughter, and saying goodbye, sends her off toward the other settlement. Now we see Neville, who had only fainted at that time, and Aggie finds out that Henry has let Salima and John escape. But she cannot say much to Henry and, coming outside, orders Neville, go and kill John and Salima. Meanwhile, John, while searching for Salima, reaches the settlement, where Salima meets him and both hug each other. Meanwhile, Neville also arrives there and, pointing a gun, tells them to put handcuffs on themselves. Out of compulsion, they do so. But then he comes near Salima and starts doing wrong things with her in front of John. Just then, John somehow frees himself and starts fighting with him. But John becomes weak, and just then, Salima shoots at Neville. But unfortunately, the gun had only one bullet, and now Neville is about to shoot Salima. But just then, the settlement people arrive and shoot an arrow at Neville, causing him to fall and die right there. Now, in the last scene of the story, we see where John decides to live here with his family. Salima says, if you stay here with me, you will be far from the outside world. John smiles and replies, I don't want to go anywhere. I am with my family, and now this is my world. I will always be happy with you and with the people of this settlement. After which, both happily start dancing with each other, and with this scene, the story ends right here. So friends, I hope you liked this story very much.